What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined by my co-host, Alex Wilson. And you know what? We've been really negative over the last few days. We've been angry, we've been ranting, we've been screaming, we've been cursing. But today, we're going to be positive. We're going to bring some joy to the great lives of Giants fans. We're going to talk about this Giants rookie draft class being the number one rookie draft class in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus, and according to pretty much everybody, because look at this draft class. It's hard to disagree with it being the best draft class in the NFL this season. Malik Neighbors, absolute superstar. Tyler Nubin, stud. Drew Phillips, stud. Tyrone Tracy, stud. This rookie draft class is awesome. The Giants hit on the overwhelming majority of the rookies that they found this offseason. And so, yeah, while there is a lot to be upset about, the Giants are 2-5, the quarterback situation sucks balls, all of those things true, this Giants rookie class is something to be happy about. So we're going to go ahead and bring some positivity to you guys entering this great weekend before Monday Night Football against the Steelers. But before we dive into all that, Alex, how are you doing today, my friend? And how are you feeling about Joe Schoen's job-saving 2024 rookie draft class?
I mean, listen, we talk about building through the draft. We talk about how a draft can change the course of a franchise, especially if you manage to find that quarterback. Well, last year's draft class is seeming to be a big question mark for Joe Schoen. If he had another one of those this year, I think it would have been the end. It would have been pretty hard to fight back from because the foundation would have been so compromised. We wouldn't have had all these young players. And, you know, I watched Saquon Barkley's mic'd up, and he said Tyler Nubin, that young rookie safety, is going to be legit. He's going to be a good player. He also said the same thing about Andrew Phillips. And look, you know, playing against those two guys, easy to see when they're doing good things on the football field. I mean, Andrew Phillips put Devonta Smith, one of the best slot receivers in the sport, in an absolute freaking blender. He had him locked down, one reception, -2 yards. That's how good Andrew Phillips was this past week. A surefire tackler, great in coverage, tremendous at sniffing out screens. He's like he's just everything you want in a nickel cornerback. Tyler Nubin, there's a lot of development left to have, but I'll tell you one thing: great leader, very young guy. He's really good in run defense. He doesn't miss that many tackles. Next step is just kind of becoming more of that confidence, that confident kind of ball hawk and just undercutting those routes. But teams aren't throwing the ball deep against the Giants. They're really running the football, picking up yards, taking what they're giving. They're not doing much in terms of downfield playmaking. And I know A.J. Brown had that one big touchdown, but that's because they had Nick McLeod on. I mean, you put Nick McLeod on one of the best receivers in football, you're going to get cooked. So that's just kind of the reality of the situation. But when you look at this rookie class, Neighbors is going to be a superstar, if not already approaching that mark. Get him a good quarterback, things are going to be really, really, really good, really, really positive. So I'm excited to see his development and growth with a better quarterback under helm for the Giants. Now, you know, looking at Neighbors and the offense has been disappointing. Neighbors has had the concussion, didn't really do much last week. The Eagles took him away. Jones didn't play well. But Anthony, like, looking at the future of this team, having a WR1 on a contract like this, a rookie contract for the next 4 years after this season, because you have the fifth-year option as well, that is such a huge advantage. You look at what CD Lamb and his contract, you look at Jamar Chase and his contract situation, you look at some of these big-time receivers getting $30+ million, Brandon Ayuk, the latest of the bunch, they're paying Neighbors about $10 million per season on average over the next 4 years, including this season. So, you know, you kind of look at the situation the Giants have financially. You get rid of Daniel Jones, you find yourself a rookie quarterback. You now have a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract, a top receiver on a rookie contract, and a running back in Tyrone Tracy on a rookie contract. You couldn't be better financially positioned to build a competent roster long term. That's not even mentioning, you know, Kayvon's still on the rookie deal. You still have, you know, of course, Nubin and Andrew Phillips and Deonte Banks. You have so much value from your draft classes, hopefully continue to get better here. But specifically the receiver position, the importance of having a cost-controlled asset like Neighbors, how much flexibility does that open up the Giants long-term? I think people forget that when they think about the financial situation the Giants are in.
No, it's hugely important, and that's why hitting on your draft picks in the first place is important, because if you draft a player and they far exceed the expectations that you set for them at their draft positioning, then you are getting tremendous contractual value. The financial value that you get from hitting on a draft pick can never be understated. Because what are the Giants getting from Malik Neighbors, Alex? Would you argue that they're getting top 10 wide receiver performance out of him? I mean, at the very least, through the first 4 weeks of the season, he looks like maybe a top 5 receiver in the NFL, didn't he? He was leading the league in targets, leading the league in receptions, top 3 in receiving yards, top 3 in touchdowns. If you're getting that kind of value out of a player, but meanwhile he's getting paid what, top 50 at his position, top 30? Not top 10. That's for damn sure. I mean, look at the top 10 paid wide receivers in the NFL. You're talking Justin Jefferson at 35, CeeDee Lamb at 34, Brown at 32, Amon-Ra at 30, Tyreek at 30, Ayuk at 30, Jalen Waddle at 28. Actually, that's crazy that the Dolphins are paying $58 million between those two of those wide receivers, but that's off topic. Devontae Adams, 28. DJ Moore, 27.5. So if you're taking any of those players and saying, look at their performance this season, and you're stacking it up against Malik Neighbors, well, there's a couple of guys on that list that I just mentioned. Malik Neighbors is maybe outperforming them on a game-to-game basis. Meanwhile, he's making a third, less than a third of the amount of money that they are making on average annual salary. So think about the value that the Giants are getting. And that's really the value that all NFL teams get when they hit on a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds of the draft. That's why it's popular to see wide receivers go in the first 2 rounds, because not only is the hit rate high, but the value of hitting on one of those wide receivers is also extremely high. So the Giants made a great choice there to take Malik Neighbors, a true player with superstar capabilities, a guy who can transform an offense. He's done that for the Giants. Yes, it's still a little bit of rocky sledding for the Giants offense. They don't have everything ironed out. They got to figure out the quarterback position. Got to figure out if Brian Dable is the right play caller. There are many other question marks for this Giants offense. But the one answer that we do have, Alex, we do know that we have an elite WR1 superstar receiver who should be a perennial 1,000-yard receiver. The Giants have that. Perennial 1,000-yard receivers, they make in the range of $20 million plus. Malik Neighbors is not even close to that. Where is he? What's he making? Like $8 million plus per year? Somewhere in that range is the number 6 overall pick in the draft. Not even close. Yeah, $7.3 million in average annual salary for Neighbors. So compare the value of that production that he's getting at that price tag to the top guys at his position. Tremendous value. So great to bring that up, Alex. It was a really good point that you just brought up there. And I'll bring the same point up for safeties. Second round of the draft, the Giants went ahead and added Tyler Nubin. Now, I'm still upset that the Giants let Xavier McKinney walk in free agency. Okay, I'm going to put that out there. I still think that was a mistake. Guy is an all-pro level player. He's only 25 years old. He looks like the best safety in the NFL right now. I still think that the Giants should have re-signed him. However, the Giants did find a worthy replacement in Tyler Nubin in the second round. That was a great draft pick. He was the top safety in the draft class. He fell into their laps at number 47 overall. That was value that you just could not deny. And the added value actually comes, Alex, from the Xavier McKinney contract. Because Xavier McKinney reset the safety market this offseason. So what did the Giants do? They said, okay, safety market's been reset. You know what we got to do? We got to get a youngster on a cheap contract at that position, because every year safeties are getting paid more and more money. So how can we control the cost of our safety room? By hitting on a rookie draft pick. So they went ahead and got Tyler Nubin in the second round. Meanwhile, you've got the top safeties in the NFL making in excess of $10 million per season. I mean, Alex, I don't know about you, but I definitely think the potential for Tyler Nubin is there to be as good of a player, if not better, than Julian Love, right? Julian Love is a good player. He makes $11 million per season. If you don't think Tyler Nubin in the next 3 years can be as good as Julian Love, I mean, then you're getting an added $11 million player for a fraction of the cost, essentially, is how you have to look at it. So again, you brought up the contract value for wide receivers. I think it's also important to look at for safeties. Safeties are getting more and more expensive to pay on the open market and free agency. So the Giants got another young stud in their secondary. And man, I really like the way Tyler Nubin plays, Alex. Even just putting all the contracted financial value and all that stuff aside, how about just the way that he plays? Doesn't miss a snap if he doesn't have to. He gets in the box, makes tackles. The kid is leading the New York Giants in tackles this season. Think about how crazy that is. The Giants have some incredible linebackers. Bobby Okereke is a great player. Micah McFadden, also a really damn good linebacker. And who's leading this team in tackles? None other than the second-round rookie free safety in Tyler Nubin. Awesome stuff. Kid is a star in the making, just like Neighbors. The first 2 draft picks for this Giants team, absolutely excellent. Hats off to Joe Shane. What a way to find tremendous value with those selections. Again, if you're looking at it financially or just player skill-wise, Tyler Nubin, a really damn good player against both the run and the pass. Hasn't let up a lot of yardage in coverage either, Alex. How are you feeling about the way Tyler Nubin has performed through the first 7 weeks of his career?
You know how impressed I have been by him, and I'll give you some information right now. Among all safeties, strong safeties, and free safeties, he ranks 17th in run defense this year, according to PFF. So take it with a grain of salt as you will. But 17th in run defense, and he ranks 14th in coverage, and that's playing a minimum of 50% of the highest snaps being 322 in coverage. You're talking about a top 20 safety in both run defense and coverage as a rookie, right? So you talk about value, you talk about financial reward by paying a guy, what did he make, $3 million, less than that, 1 million, 2 this year as a second round pick. He's making nothing. And in context with NFL talent and veterans, that is exceptional. And not to mention, this is a young player who right now is not missing tackles. He has a 4.1% missed tackle rate. I really just don't see how it's comparable. I mean, look, you lose a lot of value from not having Xavier McKinney, of course, but teams aren't beating the Giants deep, right? Like, that's not really where they're winning. The CeeDee Lamb touchdown against Dallas was Deontay Banks just missing that. It wasn't like a deep throw. It was like 15-yard throw that he took to the house. A.J. Brown's was a deep throw, but that was, we're talking about Nick McLeod on him. Losing battles here. Like, the alignments were just poor. So looking at this team right now, looking at Tyler Nubin specifically, I mean, it's been excellent. Like, he's been really, really freaking good. And there's not many other players that have such a low missed tackle rate like this. You're talking about a handful of guys that are as good as a tackler as Tyler Nubin. So, and if you want to be specific about it, he ranks 5th in missed tackle rate this year among safeties in run defense. So really exciting stuff there. I think that he is a really, really talented young player, especially in run defense. The coverage stuff will come. He hasn't been tested that much, to be quite honest with you. So I still don't think it's that big of a deal. Anything that people have said about him or any negatives that you can conjure up, he's been really solid. I've been pretty impressed with him. I think that he hasn't been a liability, and that's kind of what you want from rookies.
Absolutely, especially rookies in the secondary. We know how there's a learning curve for defensive backs entering the NFL. It's a whole different game when you get to the NFL from college in the secondary. But Alex, I want to add even more context. The Giants, I don't know if you knew this, they have 3 of the top 15 highest graded rookies in the NFL by PFF, Tyler Nubin being one of them at number 14. Guess who's number 4, though, the highest graded of the Giants rookies? Drew Phillips. Let's talk about him next. Kid is an absolute star. Star in the making right here. Nickel cornerbacks are valuable. A lot of fans will overlook that position because it's not technically listed as a starter. But newsflash, guys, this is the modern NFL. 5 defensive backs being on the field, that's pretty much the regular now. Teams are having their base defenses evolve into nickel packages. So the Giants, for the most part, have 5 defensive backs on the field. They are sitting down there in nickel more often than not. Drew Phillips is playing a starting level amount of snaps. Even though he's not an outside cornerback, he's not playing on the boundary. He's not your CB1 or your CB2 technically. But also, technically, he is your CB1. He is your best cornerback on this roster right now. As a rookie, he just plays in the nickel. So a lot of fans are going to overlook him, but you just can't. Because the value of having a solid nickel cornerback is unbelievable. If the Giants had any semblance of an offense in week 7, they could have won that game against the Eagles because they completely took Devontae Smith out of the game. Devontae Smith had a -2 yards, 1 reception for -2 yards when lined up against Drew Phillips. Think about that. Devontae Smith, that's a Pro Bowl level wide receiver. That's a 1,000-yard level wide receiver. And he mustered up -2 yards against Drew Phillips in week 7. So that tells you the kind of talent that the Giants found in the 3rd round of the draft. Again, number 4, highest graded rookie in the NFL this season, 83.3 overall grade from Pro Football Focus, 3rd round draft pick. This is what I really love though, Alex. Again, the -2 yards on 1 reception in week 7, that's tremendous. Tells you what he's doing in coverage. How about what he's doing in run defense as well? Through 6 games, he's registered 13 defensive stops. That's a really high mark according to Pro Football Focus. And honestly, I don't see this kid miss tackles either. You mentioned Tyler Nubin not missing tackles. Neither does Drew Phillips. And Drew Phillips sometimes looks like he's shot out of a cannon getting into the backfield and making some of these tackles on screen plays. Kid is an absolute stud. I love the way that he plays. I love his leadership qualities. Everything about him screams New York Giants football to me, Alex. So, what are your thoughts on Drew Phillips, the way that he's played, and in particular, the value of having a shutdown, not only cornerback, but nickel cornerback in an ever-changing modern NFL where nickel is becoming the base?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you want to look at it from a comprehensive perspective, among all cornerbacks this year, and again, I'm going to use a PFF grade, so take it with a grain of salt. He ranks 7th in coverage among all cornerbacks this year. He's over Jalen Johnson, Christian Fulton, Levi Wallace, Jordan Lewis, Jalen Ramsey, Marshawn Lattimore, Christian Benford, Jair Alexander, Tariq Woolen. Again, some of these guys play on the outside, so it's apples to oranges sometimes. But in terms of just simply in coverage, we're talking about a rookie stepping in and being one of the best coverage cornerbacks in the league, one of the best nickel cornerbacks in the league. He has multiple forced fumbles. He has multiple tackles for a loss behind the line of scrimmage. He is locking guys down. They're not even looking in his direction. He's taking players out of the equation. Now, if Deonte Banks could take a WR1 out of the equation, you literally don't have a passing game. You know what I mean? If I'm the Giants next year, I'm going out and I'm signing DJ Reed because he can go up against WR1s. He can take them out of the equation. And then you have Banks who can be that CB2, CB1, like interchangeable, right? You can match it up based on whatever you need. I think that the Giants here have built a foundation that you build on that. You may have an elite secondary. You may have an elite pass rush mixture here. You still have Bobby Okereke for another 2 seasons after this year. You're really, really in a good spot, right? You're in a really, really good spot here for the Giants defense. And I think that the foundation that this rookie class has offered us is a silver lining. However, none of it matters until you have a quarterback. We all address that. We all know that. But from a perspective of just why Joe Schoen is safe right now, I think, listen, they want to give look, turning over the coaching staff, turning over the front office, it's unsustainable. They don't want to do it. I can understand that. With that being said, what the Giants are doing in terms of the foundation they built from this rookie class has set us up for a much brighter future. Next year's draft will ultimately decide how things unfold over the next couple of years. That's how important that draft class is going to be. They need to have another home run draft class. If they have back-to-back home run draft classes, this Giants team will turn things around pretty fast. But it's all, it's yet to be seen. They need to kill it. Whatever process they did this past year worked really well. I give credit to a lot of guys like Brandon Brown who are out there doing a lot of scouting right now. While I'm sure Joe Schoen's doing the same. But those Brandon Browns of the world, they're doing a lot of the dirty work and a lot of legwork to get this thing really cooking. He may be a GM this year. Like, he may get a job as a GM this year, maybe next year, depending on how the Giants kind of rebound from this season.
Totally possible. I think Brandon Brown is a really special talent in the Giants front office. But I will have to, throw caution to the wind here, Alex. I mean, as excited as we are about this Giants draft class, and man, we are excited. We're praising it, saying it's the number 1 draft class in the NFL right now. I do have to point out, you're saying, let's do it again. Let's get 2 foundational draft classes, and then we can really start to praise Joe Schoen. And I'm on the same boat as you. Because if you look at his first 2 draft classes, Alex, well, there were some misses. All right, let's go through them. In year 1, 2022, Kayvon Thibodeau is the number 5 overall pick. He hasn't been the superstar we wanted him to be. I'll still call him a hit because he is a quality starter for the Giants. But then at number 7 overall, Evan Neal, the absolute miss of all misses. That was a brutal one. Round 2, Wan'Dale Robinson, I'll call that a hit. Josh Azidu, I'm going to call that a miss in the 3rd round. Cordell Flott, I'm a little 50-50. I think that's a hit. Daniel Bellinger, 50-50. He's a role player. I think that's kind of a hit. Dane Belton, I'd say, is a miss. The Giants always wanted him to play a larger role than what he's playing right now. Micah McFadden, definitely a hit. DJ Davidson, still role playing. I don't know, I guess. And then Marcus McKethan and Darian Beavers no longer on this team from the 5th and 6th round. Now, if you get to the 2023 draft class, though, Alex, like I said, that 2022 class, some hits, some misses, a bit of a mixed bag. That's a pretty quality draft class for an NFL GM. You don't expect a hit on every pick like they did this year. You expect to hit on a few of them and then get a few role players. So I like the 2022 class. I think it was solid enough. But 2023, Deonte Banks has struggled. I still think he's got CB1 potential, but we got to see it. John Michael Schmitz has really struggled, but he's still a quality, serviceable starter. So I'll call those, up in the air. Can't really make a determination on them yet. But then we get a little bit ugly here. Jalen Hyatt seems like a miss so far. The Giants can't seem to find a way to keep him on the field. He doesn't make an impact when he is on the field. I don't know about Jalen Hyatt. Maybe he wasn't the best selection. And then you get to Eric Gray in the 5th round, Alex, and that's definitely a miss because the Giants drafted over him this past year with Tyrone Tracy and just found, plainly put, a better player in Tyrone Tracy. Eric Gray is not going to become what the Giants wanted him to become. He's not even great on special teams. Trey Hawkins, he had his moment of shine in last year's training camp, hasn't really been able to contribute otherwise. It doesn't contribute much on special teams either. Jordan Riley struggles to see the field. Javarius Owens not even on this team. So the 2023 draft class was more misses than hits for Joe Schoen. So if you want to talk about how important it was for this 2024 draft class to have more hits than misses, I mean, it was of the utmost importance, and that's why I say this is the draft class, Alex, that saved Joe Schoen's job. Because I think if we didn't have these kind of rookies out here playing this season, making this level of an impact, what do we have on this Giants team, right? Like, what would we be highlighting as the positive this season? Because every single week, Alex, what we've been highlighting as the positive, it's been either the offensive line had a good performance, so credit to Joe Schoen for that, or the rookie draft class. Hasn't been quarterback play, hasn't been a whole lot else. So this rookie draft class really, if I'm going to have hope in Joe Schoen, if I'm going to have any kind of confidence in him and say, yeah, maybe he is the guy, I'm going to look at this draft class as evidence for that. But anything else, it's a little bit hit or miss. But this draft class totally saved his job. This was a hell of a class by the Giants. They only made 6 selections, but man, even Darius Masua has an interception this season that he got in week 1. And he's been contributing hella on special teams, Alex. Nobody even talks about that. He's a core special teamer for this Giants team. So all 6 of those picks, Theo Johnson's been playing a lot as well. All 6 of them playing immediately, making an impact. Hell of a draft class. Tyrone Tracy, Alex, I think we can round out our discussion with him. RB1 on this team. Last week, Alex, Devin Singletary was healthy and ready to play. Who got the start in the backfield? Tyrone frickin' Tracy, baby. That's the running back 1 for the New York Giants. And if you're finding your RB1 as a rookie in round 5, yeah, you know that your general manager was on fire. You know that he knocked this draft class out of the park. So, Alex, I'll let you wrap up the discussion with some praise for Tyrone Tracy. I know that was your guy on draft night when the Giants picked him. Know that you had just gotten back from the hospital, just had a baby, and you're like, man, Tyrone Tracy. You were all hyped up that weekend, and I know Tracy was your guy, so why don't you give him some praise right here?
Dude, I have his numbers like literally engraved in my skull. Like 4.4 yards after contact coming out of Purdue. I mean, 716 yards. The guy has low tread on the tires. He is a very decisive runner. 1 foot in the ground through the gap. I mean, the fact that he had 2 back-to-back 100 all-purpose yards and the Giants so intelligently put him on the fucking bench. Basically, didn't even use him. Talk about trying to lose. That is how you do it. That is literally how to lose. You take the guy who's on fire and do not use him. I'm not going to go down the emotional route because I could easily rant about it right now, piss me off. But I'll tell you what, like, this is a really good young player, and he's a little bit older for a rookie, but that's okay because he doesn't have much, miles on his legs. I think he's going to be an asset for the Giants. And talk about cost controlled. Saquon Barkley is a special talent. Yeah, like he's worth the money for the Eagles if they make a deep push in the playoffs. But Tyrone Tracy being here for 4 years and literally making like under $1 million, you can't replicate that. This is what we've been begging the Giants to do for years. Find a running back who's actually good in the mid-rounds. Not even the late rounds. A 5th-round rookie running back who seems to be a solution. He could be a starter. He might be a starter really soon. I know he's going to start splitting reps here with Devin Singletary, but I think Tyrone Tracy's got all the talent in the world to be a primary starter moving forward. And they should make him that, especially if, I guess 50-50 makes the most sense. Tyrone Tracy should be in there in 3rd downs as well because of the receiving talent. But I just think that this is a player with so much upside. We've been watching teams find these running backs out of nowhere. Like the 49ers just discover running backs, and the Giants have been so unlucky that we've been, forcing Saquon Barkley to be the entire offense. Now you have Neighbors, rookie contract, Tracy, rookie contract. Haven't even talked about Theo Johnson, rookie contract, showing signs of progress here. I think next year he could break out. I really do believe that. He was just trying to get his footing in the NFL, but he's a really good receiving threat. Obviously, a freak athlete at his size. So, right now, I'm pretty optimistic, man. I think not the Yankees, got World Series on my mind right now, but I think the Giants have such a good foundation to build from this rookie class. They got to capitalize. They got to make sure. And I think Joe Schoen understands you got Dexter Lawrence. You got Brian Burns. You got Andrew Thomas when healthy. You got some really good key veteran pieces on this team. You can't waste it. You can't waste the rookie contracts of these guys. They know they are a good quarterback away from being a good football team. I don't know what their solution's going to be. I don't know if it's to draft somebody or to try a trade for somebody. We will find out. The plan is going to be get us a quarterback this upcoming offseason because none of it matters. Tyler Nubin, doesn't matter. Andrew Phillips doesn't matter. Neighbors does not matter unless you have a quarterback who can win you football games. And that is going to be priority number one this offseason. So maximize this talent, capitalize on these good contracts, make the most of such a good rookie class by compounding that success in this upcoming offseason. We're going to be waiting. We're going to be doing the due diligence, looking at all the players. We got you guys covered on Fireside Giants as always. And that's kind of how I wrap up this episode.
Alex, I feel like you're dangling the bait in front of me. It's like a carrot on a stick. You're like trying to get an ant rant to come out. You're trying to hype me up, get me pissed off about the quarterback situation. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to get angry today. Today was about positive vibes on the channel. I'm not talking about Daniel Jones. I'm not talking about that criminal. I'm talking about the goodness of Joe Schoen that he did this offseason in this rookie draft class. Now, would it be nice to be talking about Drake May as the Giants QB or Jaden Daniels as the Giants QB plus Tyler Nubin and these other guys? Sure, maybe it would be. But you know what? I'm focusing on the positives today, baby. Malik Neighbors, superstar, best wide receiver the Giants have had since OBJ. Going to be the first 1,000-yard receiver the Giants have had since OBJ. I'm focusing on the positives today. Daniel Jones will not ruin my Friday afternoon. I won't let it happen. He might just ruin my Monday evening, but he won't ruin my Friday afternoon. I'm happy today. I'm positive today. And the New York Giants have a bright future because of Joe Schoen's 2024 draft class. That's where I'm ending this thing. Happy to say that I can be positive on this Friday afternoon. So make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this episode. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode. And comment your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. Without further ado, we'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one. And let's go Giants.
Perfect.